Matthew Golden out of Texas is my wide receiver 2 for the 2025 NFL Draft. And if the Miami Dolphins are tired of the off-field stuff that surrounds Tyreek Hill, I think Golden would be a nice replacement. We're going to talk about this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I am a draft analyst, offensive draft analyst over with Bleacher Report. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. We're going to talk about some things that could potentially happen in the NFL via the NFL Draft. Matthew Golden, a.k.a. the Reek replacement for the Miami Dolphins. Walter Nolen ceiling as being potentially one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive line prospect in this class. And then we're going to have a discussion valuing scheme fits for NFL draft prospects. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 back in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Matthew Golden, 5'11", 191 pounds, 30 5/8 on the arm, 9.5-inch hands. Ran one of the, if not one of the fastest time, I think, of the receivers and everything at the combine. 4.29 with a 1.49 10-yard split. So what does that say? Matthew Golden has that elite speed. But let's talk about this situation. Could he be the Reek replacement, the Tyreek Hill replacement? I say yes, on a cost-efficient contract. Here's why. We know that Tyreek Hill is has been one of the best receivers since his development, and with the Chiefs and the speed, the shiftiness, the movement skills, everything, man. Tyreek Hill has had a lot of off-the-field situations happen. And honestly, if the Miami Dolphins did not feel like, hey, we want to keep this going, right? Like you look at this stretch from 2020 to 2023, 1,200 plus, 1,700 plus, 17, almost 1,800 yards in 2023. Outstanding years. He's 82 career touchdowns so far. 82 career touchdowns. Last year was the last time since 2019 that he did not eclipse 1,000 yards receiving. Yes, Tua got hurt. There's a lot of things that happened. He just turned 31 years old. And again, he just had another situation off the field that teams typically don't put up with but for so long. So if the Miami Dolphins said, you know what, we want to move off of this, prepare for the future, and get another guy that can fit this offense with Mike McDaniel, look no further than Texas star wide receiver Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden can do the things that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle do, where in terms of the pre-snap motions, talking about getting him, coming across a formation, but also allowing him to turn his shoulders to the line of scrimmage where he's moving. He already has forward momentum, and now he gets a free run to gear up, and he's not static. He's already on the move and take that forward momentum at the snap, cross the line of scrimmage against a flat-footed defender. We've seen Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Miami Dolphins, do this with Tyreek Hill, do it with Jalen Waddle. We've seen it, right? And we're seeing it a lot more. You watch the matchup against Georgia, I believe in the SEC championship game, you saw a little bit of that. From Matthew Golden. Now, does he need that to win? No, he can win either way, but he fits the pre-snap motion stuff, the deep elite speed, route running, run after catch, the yards after catch ability. But then also with Golden, he gives you plays at the catch point. Even though he's not 6'3", he still gives you that. You know what I mean? The 5'11", the less than 31 inch on the arms, he still can go up and make plays. He tracks it well. He's patient, flashes late hands. He doesn't tip off defenders. And honestly, I feel like he was still held back. Like some people will be like, oh, his analytical profile because of, if you look at the Houston and all that. Okay, can we get past this stuff of like trying to scout guys based off of analytical profiles? Because until you look at the film, yes, the analytics can tell you things, and it's a helpful data point. But that's all it is a data point. And you have to look at the film to get the full context of the story, understanding that most colleges don't have good quarterback play. Just honest. Most colleges don't. Most colleges don't have good schemes that really amplify and get the right guy the football. So nonetheless, like I remember they did that with Devonta Smith years ago. Well, he wasn't he wasn't the guy when they had all 4 wide receivers. Guess what? There wasn't really truly a guy. I've talked to DBs that faced the Bama quartet, right? Where they called them the 4 Lambos, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle. I talked to DBs that faced them. That was a nightmare because you didn't know who was getting the football. You couldn't really take away one guy because there's 4 of them. And they all brought different things to the table. So I look at Matthew Golden. Yes, he had roughly in 2 years, he had 13 receiving touchdowns at Houston, about 1,000 yards or so. But again, he also wasn't he only the most targets he saw was in 2023, and that was 63 targets. And not even just having the targets, it's the quality of the targets that we got to start looking past some of the things that like, oh, this guy isn't a first-round receiver. Matthew Golden is a first-round wide receiver. He catches the ball very well. He runs good routes. His release package is fine, and I think it can consistently get better and expand. He has the athleticism, the elite speed, and burst and acceleration. But what he has is that you won't find on a chart is the feel for the game, the feel for space. When you catch a curl route or a quick hitch, to know you have a linebacker 5 yards out trying to diverge and converge on you and work down and trigger to your spot, and you got a corner that's on the outside leverage, outside shade of your shoulder. So you have to pivot quickly post catch. That feel, that understanding of space won't be found in any analytics guide that you show me, but it will be found on film. So I think that he can absolutely fill. Not saying he's going to beat Tyreek Hill. No one saw Tyreek Hill coming. No one saw Tyreek Hill becoming Tyreek Hill. He put a lot of work in. So when I look at Matthew Golden, I do see a guy that's going to get the job done and get it done at a high level. I believe in his skill set. I believe the run we saw down the back stretch of this past season. I truly look at it from this aspect, guys. Let's say he's, I don't know. Let's say he's with a better quarterback. You guys, all my everydayers know I'm not a Quinn Ewers fan. This is not a Quinn Ewers fan podcast. I think that he has upside as an accurate pocket quarterback, but there's a lot that he left, a lot of hidden yards that Quinn Ewers left on the field. Okay, a lot of hidden yards. I think Keith talked about it when we discussed. I think Maxwell Hairston the other week. I think it might have been a week ago. During Stock Up, Stock Down. And one of the things that came about with Matthew Hairston, I think he talked about, I think it was a play. It might have been Matthew Golden that he got beat by, or Isaiah Bond. Either way, the point is, he was beat. He was beat on the post. They turned him around. They beat him on the skinny post, and it should have been an easy pitch and catch touchdown. Yeah, quarterback didn't get the ball to him. So there were some quarterback issues at Texas that I think everybody knew. Anybody that watched Texas over the last 2 years knew that. And, I feel as if they wanted to make Isaiah Bond the guy out the gate. That didn't work. And the more talented, better receiver came to the forefront and took a step forward. So when I look at this thing from that aspect, Matthew Golden is a guy that I think there's more upside with, but that you're getting a run after catch threat with speed and explosiveness, a guy that can win routes at the Z spot from static alignments, motion him, and he can run routes and get open. Also, if you want to put him in some stack bunch sets, you can do that as well. Also, you can throw him in the slot from time to time, and let's get some slot fades, some vertical slot fades going. So I think the Miami Dolphins and him being a potential Tyreek Hill or Reek replacement, I think it's a real deal possibility. And I think the betting odds of like wide receiver 2 has bumped up. So don't be surprised at 13, which I think that's the pick. If I remember correctly, that's the Miami Dolphins pick. Don't be surprised if they say, we're going to buck the trend at safety. We're going to not go O-line, and we go and get Matthew Golden if he's on the board. I can very well see that happening, guys. So I just want to prepare y'all Don't just assume that it's going to happen in the way that you think. So can Matthew Golden be the Reek replacement for the Miami Dolphins? Yes, not be Tyreek Hill, but fill the shoes and help lessen that blow if they were to trade him this offseason. But guys, coming up next, we're going to get into Walter Nolen, interior defensive lineman out of Ole Miss, and why he may have the highest ceiling in the 2025 NFL Draft. That and more coming up next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps to handle all of this, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNFL for half off of your first year. The highest ceiling for interior defensive linemen in the 2025 NFL Draft. You guys know that I love Mason Graham. You know I like Kenneth Grant. There's multiple guys here, but for me, I think the highest ceiling at the interior defensive line spot goes to Ole Miss's Walter Nolen, 6'4", 296, 300 pounds, 32.5-inch arms. This is a guy that's disruptive. He is physical at the point of attack. He knows how to create penetration at the line of scrimmage. And like at Ole Miss, let's talk about this. He was used improperly, to be completely honest with you guys. He was not used to his actual game, body type, skill set. Similar to Mason Graham at Michigan, even though he was the 300-pounder, he was double teamed like he was the 330, 340-pounder. Walter Nolen played 0, 1, and 2-eye at Ole Miss in a slanting defense that just told him, be a bull in the china shop and wreck that center and blow up this interior offensive line. He was usually, when you talk about stunts and D-line games, things of that nature, you usually there's a surge and penetrator, and then there's the looper. Typically, he's the surge and penetrator. He creates the chaos. He creates the chaotic situation for the lineman where he's attacking a specific gap or a shoulder of an interior offensive lineman. He's attacking it, looking to blow things up, create chaos to where he's the guy that gets the attention, and now they forget to pass off the looper. And now you got the looper with a free run onto the quarterback. He creates sacks. So you know how in basketball, you got the assist and then you got the hockey assist? Like he has a lot of assists and hockey assists, you know what I mean, in terms of creating sacks. So he helps create sacks in that regard. And he said that at the Reese Senior Bowl back in January, I'm a 3-tech / 4-eye. You want him, yes, he handled double teams well. You go look, guys, again, go check out my YouTube channel, thescoutingroom.com on YouTube, or The Scouting Room. I broke down this film a couple weeks ago, probably about a month ago. And you see it, multiple clips where he was handling double teams. Like even when you thought you pushed him off the ball, he anchored, like used his hands and upper body strength, split the double team, part the Red Sea, and then still made the tackle on the running back for a minimal gain or sometimes for a loss. And then we saw him at the Senior Bowl, and it was like, hey, Walter, no more 2-eye, no more 1, no more 0. Like just focus on being a 3-tech. And that ability to get around the outside shoulder, clear it, flip and turn his hips if the quarterback steps up in the pocket. Yes, he has all of that. This is a fluid, moving athlete at 6'4", almost 300 or roughly 300 pounds with good arm length, power, pop on hands. There's reps of him versus Will Campbell, and he has a strong motor. Now, his stock potentially could be slipping because of some unknown, very vague. I believe I wouldn't touch Walter Nolen tweets out there. And for me, I've talked to people. I have yet to hear anything substantiated. A lot of people are still like, there's a lot of people wondering like, what is this narrative? But nonetheless, if he slips, I consistently say this: he slips, and Howie Roseman's sitting there at 32, and he's at 25, and someone's on the board, and now you get a call, and it's the Eagles moving up, or he starts and he keeps slipping. And the Eagles say, you know what? The Chiefs do need an interior defensive lineman to pair with Chris Jones. I'm not letting it happen. Howie Roseman says, I'm not letting it happen. I'm gonna jump you, get to 30 or 29 or 28, wherever it is, stop you from getting Walter Nolen. Now I'm pairing Walter Nolen with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis. I'm just gonna tell you, we would all hate it, because then in 2 years after they've chipped out again, no one's talking about, hey, you know what happened to that vague report that he was a problem. Yeah, like, guys, I'm telling you, he has the highest ceiling. And I love Mason Graham. Mason Graham is my IDL 1 right now, but my IDL 1B is Walter Nolen. And I'm gonna be completely honest, it's not close for me. Yes, Kenneth Grant is 6'3", 340. He doesn't move like Walter Nolen. He doesn't pass rush like Walter Nolen, right? Like he's not even used to the double teams that his own teammate Mason Graham dealt with. But he surely isn't used to the double teams that we saw that Walter Nolen dealt with at Ole Miss, right? Because then you think about JJ Begees was playing DN at 330. Shouldn't those guys be flipped in terms of positional alignment? 100%. When I look at Walter Nolen, it's very simple to me. This guy he has the ability to be a game wrecker. He projects to be a dominant interior defensive lineman. Because if you can make excuses for why Shamar Stewart had 4 sacks or 1.5 sacks, I think 4 sacks in his career, 1.5 last year. Now some of the stuff is like he got to the ball. I mean, he got to the quarterback, but the ball was gone. Like he gets back there, but sometimes, he didn't always cash in because of the situation, or because the ball was out of his hands. But if you could make excuses for someone else that we saw Lucas Van Ness, guys. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, who played, I believe, 4-eye, 5 tech, and some 3 at Iowa. He was more of an interior defensive lineman. And Lucas Van Ness went first round. Has yet to produce. I look at Walter Nolen and I see a guy, you put him at 3 tech, you put him at 4-eye, and if you really have like some really good speed rushers and stuff like that, you got an athletic DN. Yeah, you want to push that DN who's big, strong, long arms and good wingspan and powerful and everything. You reduce him down to like stand-up edge over the guard. You could put Walter Nolen at the 2-eye. Maybe the 1 on pass rushing situations. You got 2 edge rushers or linebackers that can rush things. You can get really creative with your sets. But when I look at Walter Nolen, I think that there's some developmental upside. Like, again, when you're used to just being a bull in the china shop, and the hand usage and deconstructing blocks at times can be a little worrisome. Because it's like I don't see a lot of one-on-ones. But then again, like I said, I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and when he had the one-on-ones, you saw that double hand swipe, and it was quick, it was swift, and he won. So, yes, again, played out of position. There's vague reports about whatever, but I'm not. I don't. It is what it is. He's a top 15 prospect in this class for me. I'm drafting him top 15 until told otherwise. There better be some dark stuff in his past, because if it not, there's guys that I know for a fact have had actual like issues at their colleges that went round 1. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Come on. No, I'm not doing it. Walter Nolen has the highest ceiling in the 2025 NFL draft at the interior defensive line position. And I dare say, he could give you some of the stuff you see from motor, from strength, from hand usage, from quickness, the quick first step quickness at the Senior Bowl. outstanding. Hip fluidity, outstanding. I'm telling you now, man, he can give you some of the stuff that you see from Jalen Carter. And that's scary to think that teams are willing to let that fall the same way they let Jalen Carter fall during that draft 2 years ago. But guys, coming up next, we're going to have that discussion. Scheme fits. How valuable is it? And how valuable is it? That's really the question. How valuable is it to fit prospects to the scheme that teams run? We're going to talk about that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 back in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Start for being our everydayers. Scheme fits. How do we value scheme fits? Should it be valued highly? The answer is yes. When it comes down to, this is not the NBA. Like, it's not, right? This is football. It's more you have to fit what we run. Like, and don't get me wrong, you have to do the same thing. Like, you don't draft a defensive player to the Golden State Warriors who can't shoot threes. Well, you got Draymond, but nonetheless, he can shoot threes from time to time. You can't be a awful shooter and then be like, yeah, I'm gonna play prominent minutes alongside Steph Curry at the 2 guard, but I'm only a dunker. I can only slash. I can't shoot mid-range or threes. Like, yeah, that's not gonna work, right? So to an extent, like, yes, you have to fit a scheme to an extent in the NBA, but in the NFL, it's so much more prevalent to, like, the NFL coaches at times can be very headstrong and run what they want to run. So I always say this: draft with a plan and make sure he fits what you do. Too many times do we have seen guys like, there's no, like, you don't draft Kirk Cousins or another average arm quarterback and put them in a Bruce Arians offense, the no risk it, no biscuit, deep shots all the time. No, you don't do that. You do not. That's not how you maximize your talent. The same way you don't bring in a big arm quarterback came from a gimmicky offense that doesn't really has NFL reads and everything, and say, hey, run this Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady offense the way Tom Brady would run it. No, you got to make sure that the guys fit physically and mentally what you do. And if they don't fit mentally, you have to be secure in yourself as a coaching staff that you can get them to where they need to be mentally. And that you don't really improve from a physical standpoint in the NFL, but mentally guys improve every year. So a lot of times it's reps, it's studying, and it's coaching, and it's emphasizing specific things on the coaching from a coaching aspect. So scheme fits to me are more important than the pure talent of a player. If a guy if he's the most talented player in the league, I just talked about Walter Nolen and Mason Graham and those guys being 3 techs, but they get drafted to play nose tackle. Guess what? You're not going to get the best out of them. Every draft pick is an investment. And the key term here is, what is my ROI? What is my return on investment? What am I going to get if this guy cashes at his ceiling? That I get, like Keith always talks about how he needs to see guys do it. Keith is more of a safe bet type of guy. There's an old phrase: scared money don't make no money, baby. You know what I mean? You got to take some swings. You got to take some big swings sometimes and knock it out the park to get that big cash flow. So for me, that's the big thing is, okay, if I you don't draft CJ Stroud and Bryce Young to run a Greg Roman offense. You don't. You just don't. You don't draft Josh Rosen if you're the Baltimore Ravens. You have Greg Roman and say, "Hey, we're going to run the same offense that we ran for that we were planning to run for Lamar Jackson." It doesn't make sense. Don't draft a square peg if you have a need that's a round hole. Okay, like you can't put a triangle into a square, into a square slot. It just doesn't work. You have to make sure the guys you're drafting fit what you want to do. And if they don't, this is where the change comes. You change your offense to meet their skill set. And that doesn't happen enough in the NFL. Me and Keith always praise Sean Payton for what he did for Bo Nix. Now, his offense already kind of fitted Bo Nix anyway, but he also implemented things that, you know what? I ran this in college. I'm comfortable with this. It makes sense. I see this well. Like, dude, it's not. We make football from a coaching and play calling standpoint. And I'm not poo-pooing and diminishing that situation. What I'm saying, we make it like it's rocket science. Like, can it be in terms of scheming up and figuring out how to attack that defense and deal with Spags? Yeah, it could be from that point. Yes, it could be rocket science trying to deal with Spags and Wink Martindale and Bill Belichick and some of the greatest defensive coaches in the league. But my point is, from a play calling standpoint, I look at it as just call what gets your guys comfortable. There's a phrase, guys don't move fast when they're thinking. Okay, like you move faster if you have fast, quick twitch muscles, right? As an athlete, you move faster when you're not thinking. Ask a rapper or a musician, a writer. When you have writer's block and you can't just jump on your laptop and just type away, you're not reacting. You're shackled in a sense. You're not being your best self. So in that situation, guys, 100%, you need schemes, and most prospects fit a specific scheme. That's just the honest truth. I would say 90% of prospects, 90% of NFL players are scheme dependent, and they're not scheme transcendent. The elite, I'm not gonna say we. I'm not part of that group, but how everybody use generational talent, I hate it. I hate it with everything in me. Okay, every fiber of my being. Do I hate that phrase? But nonetheless, when it comes down to it, and how much I hate that phrase, but people use it. I think I tweeted a couple years ago. I like generational player in the league over being a generational talent, because a generational talent means nothing. Being a generational player means you got a gold jacket and a bus sitting for you in Canton when you're generational, baby. That's what generational means, all right? But let me get off that soapbox. What I'm saying is it's simple. Like when I look at the being a generational player, like you literally are able to transcend any situation you're in. Tom Brady is a generational player. He transcended the supporting cast, the offensive line, the running back situation. Like the offensive coordinators, he had multiple. He still won, and then he transcended from team to team, and he still won. Like he went from dink and dunk scheme to no risk it, no biscuit, and still won. Like he's transcendent. We've seen so many transcendent players. That's what. Like you got a handful of those guys. Everybody else is scheme dependent. Not saying you got to fit. You only can fit one scheme. It might be one or two, but they're not transcending to every single scheme that's running the NFL. It's just not how it works. So for me, guys, when you're talking about valuing scheme fits, when you're evaluating prospects, that's why this pre-draft stuff is a lot of fun. But guys, the content that we're going to talk about and we're going to do rankings and everything like that after these kids are drafted, these young men are drafted. The landing spots matter so much. It matters so much, man. Because what if Bo Nix went to some place that didn't have weapons and didn't have a good OC? We don't talk about him in the same light. Landing spots matter, and we're gonna get into all of those landing spots and have a lot of fun ranking those guys, things of that nature. Maybe maybe we're gonna put the QBs back through the trucks, trailers, and hitches conversations post-draft. Everything changes once they land with their teams, and we can't wait for that. But that's the show, guys. Valuing scheme fits. Walter Nolen having the highest ceiling of all the interior defensive line prospects in the NFL draft. And Is Matthew Golden the Reek replacement if they decided to go that route? I think he can be, but not be Tyreek Hill. Just remember that, guys. But I want to, before I close this out, man, I didn't get a chance to do it yesterday. I was trying to find the words for it. Rest in peace to Kyron Lacey. Mental health matters, guys. I don't care what you do in life. I don't care what happens. Take it from somebody who goes to therapy weekly, who's battled suicidal thoughts over his span of his life. I'm going to be 36 this year, this summer. It matters. So I didn't want to start the show on a somber moment. I wanted to end the show with this piece of information. Guys, no matter what you do, if you're struggling, you feel like you've done the most unforgivable thing, I don't care what it is, man. Talk to somebody, seek help. Please take it from somebody who's been down that road. Yeah, so your boy DP wanted to be vulnerable with you, and just like I said, rest in peace to Kyron Lacey. Prayers and thoughts to his family and everybody impacted, and yeah, for everybody out there, not just men, women, boys, girls, children. If you need help, go seek it. But guys, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube. Wherever you listen to the podcast, get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, Keith will be back, and we will break down the latest mock draft over at Bleacher Report. We dropped, I believe, a 3-round mock, so we're gonna get into that. Talk about the most, our favorite fits, the most interesting, and those kind of sleeper draft fits that we put in our mock. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.